So, my name's Chris Davidson. I'm the Campus and Community Engagement Librarian at Northwestern University Libraries, and I'm also a member of the ACRL ULS Academic Outreach Committee that puts together these, what are we calling them? Quarterly, semi-quarterly, online roundtables around topics of outreach. And today's topic is themed events, things like Black History Month, which is going on right now, Women's History Month, which goes on next week. I'm sorry, not next week, next month. Um, National Library Week, which I'm sure we all know is coming up in April. Things like that, and how we tackle these sorts of events in what ways. We'll go around the virtual room here just to introduce everybody so we all know who we are. What I do is I do student engagement and planning here at Northwestern, and kind of coordinate all these types of activities, actually. Second, Emily, why don't we go with you?
Sure. I'm the first year initiatives coordinator here at Grand Valley State University in Western Michigan. So I'm a liaison librarian, but then I also have an eye towards our engagement and support of our new and first year students.
Anna?
I'm a reference and instruction librarian at the University of Idaho. I also work a lot with our first year experience groups. And we're actually, we've been doing renovations on our first floor for like the last year or so. And so when we open up, we'll have a lot more space for outreach events and we'll have a maker space. So I'm interested in working with that once we open up.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, David Scott. I'm at Big Rapids Ferris State University, just up the road from Emily there, and I'm going to be new to marketing. They're sort of changing our job descriptions here, so I'll be taking over some marketing and outreach activities, probably starting in March or April. Don't know when. Still in the works. Before, I've been doing interlibrary loan and all that kind of stuff.
Well, welcome to the fun world.
Yeah, it looks like a lot more fun. So.
I always tell people that I feel like we get the best jobs because we get to do all of the fun things. But of course, one of our jobs is to get other people involved. So don't forget the interlibrary loan people when you
No.
move on to the awesome things because they want to help do those things with you. So let's get started talking about like what sort of things you're doing. What kind of themed events do your libraries tackle?
Well, we're still kind of in a development stage. With the construction, we've pretty much only had a couple of display cases available, which, we put out materials from our special collections or certain books. But what we've really been working on since we are so limited on space right now are our social media events. We had just started a Twitter and a Facebook, so we're working on that, working on partnering with different parts of the library and trying to build relationships outside the library on campus to have more of a presence there. But it's definitely still in baby steps, so which is a major reason why I'm here right now is finding out what we can do next.
Anybody else?
Well, I guess I'll start. We do a lot for National Library Week. We actually bought a popcorn machine, so we make popcorn for the students. Food always works. We have candy and suckers and things we hand out for them, and make a big deal about it. Hey, it's National Library Week. We usually have a display, usually have banned books or something about Library Week in general. We've had therapy dogs in the past. We hope to continue to do that. We were nixed this past year. Somebody got wind of it at the upper levels of the administration and said there are no animals allowed in campus buildings. So we hope to get a new policy in place for that one.
Was that administrative at the school level or at the
Oh.
library level?
I got out of the library, went to the provost, actually nixed it. So, but they're working on a new policy that will allow therapy dogs. These are kind of an exception to the rule. We're hoping to have more events. Like I said, we're kind of changing my role here into being more of the marketing kind of thing. We do have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're trying to coordinate that a little more because we don't post as much as we should. So we're trying to get some stuff out there. We're talking about a lot of events that we'd like to do, just pop-up displays, like I said, for things like Black History Month or Women's History Month, or even some weekly things. We even thought about doing a bracket for March Madness. Put your favorite book up and vote, and have like a bracket thing, maybe something like that. Just trying to get the library out there on the campus community. Let them know that it's not just a boring place to come and study. There's fun things to do here too.
That's right.
Yeah, when I was at University of Wisconsin-Madison, they did that book March Madness thing, and it really people loved it on campus. I think Harry Potter won,
Okay.
which I was very happy about. But yeah, the students seemed to really respond to it.
And it's different. It's not just, going to the library for homework. It's a fun thing that the library is sponsoring. We're sponsoring Money Smart Week events as well. So we're trying to do things that aren't necessarily academic per se. It's you're not going homework and things like that. Doing just some things that makes the library a cool place. And I'd like to engage the students too and find out what kind of things they'd like to do. Like, how do we arrange the seating? What kind of chairs do you want? Do you need more lounge furniture? And Emily, we're picking on you because we've been to your library a few times looking at all the cool furniture you have. We want some of it. So, but we know that the students study a lot differently now. They study in groups, and we have the building's not that old, but we've got really long tables that you can't move, and so. They're not conducive for group study or even individual study. You're kind of stuck at this 18-foot long table. So we want to get different types of furniture. We want to get their input, though. So we want to reach out to them, surveys and focus groups and just all sorts of things.
Now, have you gotten any pushback from either within the library or outside the library about how, like you said, you're trying to show that students the library is not just academic. Have you gotten any pushback about, there are other things on campus that are already non-academic, and that there's a bit of mission creep going on if the library tries to do too much different stuff?
We haven't yet. We're a pretty small campus. We only have, we're competing with kind of our new university center, which is just remodeled, and it's nearby. Other than that, there aren't a lot of large places to go on campus for studying, or that aren't the dorms or just a small business. So not yet. I mean, I suppose that could happen. We haven't had any creep yet.
Okay.
I would chime in too. We've never had any issues with. That's been also our kind of approach with most of our, or a lot of our outreach activities to students. Does focus on not just the non-academic, but utilizing the fun things, the light things to, of course, remind them of all of the great things that the library is, but focusing on the library as kind of like a social space, because we are a social space on campus. And we have a pretty strong relationship with our student union, which is right next door. And so we partner together on events and make sure, like, when exam relief comes around, we're working together to co-promote as well as not duplicate activities. And I think you'll find that that campus partners will actually be pretty supportive when you're working with them.
I guess it might just be a problem because the University of Idaho is a fairly traditional, conservative kind of area, where we have gotten some pushback already, just that particularly from professors saying, well, the students already don't do work, why make the library, which is traditionally, a very academic space, anything that's not that. Yeah. With our first floor opening up and being 24 hours, I'm hoping that maybe that pushback will kind of just fade away.
It might. But, you might also consider that we're getting students into the library in a quote unquote fun way, but at the same time, we're then going to show them some of our resources at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can have fun in the library, but it is a serious place as well. And I think the first thing you need to do is get them into the library, and then you can show your students and your faculty the types of resources that you have and have access to. I think you need to keep that in mind too. It's not just always fun stuff. We need to promote our resources much better to our faculty, to our students, because as you know, they all think it's out there on Google. So just go on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Hey Samantha, welcome to the group. Do you want to give a little introduction?
Yeah, sorry, I'm late. I was trying to finish something. I'm Samantha O'Connor, and I'm the Public Services Librarian at Central Carolina Community College. We've been doing a lot of things lately to try to get our students in maybe alternative ways, and had a fair amount of luck with it, but always looking for new ideas.
And we were just getting started actually talking about what sort of themed activities you do.
Okay. Well, right now we have a blind date with a book thing going on. We've done that for Valentine's Day for the last few years, and that's always kind of a big draw. It's, we have a huge display of books that are wrapped up with personal ads and stuff like that. On a more sort of semester-long basis, we have an interactive whiteboard where every week we put up a new question, and sometimes they're sort of serious things about like what you'd like to see in the library, and sometimes they're, we ask what people were doing for the Super Bowl, stuff like that. And we have students just sort of put their answers on that, and that has been really, really popular. We've had a lot of response to that, and then we post some of those that turn out really good. We post them on Facebook, and that gets a pretty wide kind of circulation on there. That's what I can think of off the top of my head.
Hey, Jackie, do you want to introduce yourself? We were just also talking about what sort of themed events we work on in our own libraries.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I am Jackie Kilberg, and I am a MLS librarian, but I am pseudo library technical assistant here at Wake Tech Community College on the Western Campus. My library dean, Julia Mealish, as well as myself and two other librarians are on a marketing team, and we've really just started collectively instituting a marketing plan. This was started last year. We felt that aligning ourselves with the communications department of Wake Tech really gave us a bounce or an uptick in terms of the reach that we can address our students as well as our faculty. So they've given us guidelines to setting up Twitter accounts, working with our Facebook page, as well as doing some media outreach, such as this was wonderful. And you can go onto our Wake Tech site. We do have a Talon video. Talon is our mascot, and they decided to do Talon visits the library. And he would go in and basically use all the different facilities of the library, as well as introducing himself to the librarians and even checking out a book on eagles. And that really went very, very well. It really got especially our new students that are coming into the library to understand exactly what the library is all about.
Did you assess that in some way,
yes.
How are you gauging your reach?
Well, when we put the link onto our Twitter and Facebook, we're just using the analytics from those platforms. Mm-hmm. That is a good point. We do need to go back to our webmaster, because obviously he would also have analytics in terms of what the reach is, because I think it's hosted on our Wake Tech YouTube channel. But from the numbers that I see, it was very, very well received.
Awesome. So, what kind of partners, when you're putting together your activities, who do you reach out to partner with on campus?
Well,
this is open for everybody.
Yeah. Well, again, for us, we partner with our communications team, as well as we partner with specific divisions that are working on some new initiatives, such as our 3D printing group. So I'll let everybody else chime in on that.
Well, we're also partnering with some people on 3D printing. We're going to have a movable makerspace in April. So we're working with our department on campus, our engineering departments, who actually have the 3D printer, to come in and set that up for us and do some demos. So we do a lot of faculty partnerships.
Yeah, all of our reference and instruction librarians here are also liaison librarians. So we also try to build on faculty partnerships. The people we already know from working with their departments as liaisons. If they have a new book, we try to get them in the library to have a little reception for them.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. It's gonna work out better next year, obviously, when we're not trying to cram 20 people into a space meant for 5. But we have the campus food agency bring over coffee and some pastries, and then the faculty member could talk about their book for a little while, and then just kind of mingle with people in the library. So it's been nice.
For us, it depends on the activity, of course. When we do National Library Week, we always partner with our university press to bring in an author to talk. Our press is actually pretty heavily involved in poetry, so it's convenient. April is Poetry Month, so it's nice to have like a poet author come in and do a reading, and maybe have we do like a sit-down conversation, and we do that in the building. And kind of in an open space. It's not open, but it's like on our street, so that we get a lot of good walk-by traffic for people to see it. I don't know how all libraries are, but our library is built kind of like a fortress that is hard for people to find any place. So any way we can actually, it's built literally to not have walk-by traffic, and the rooms are all hidden. So finding open spaces to do that has been pretty key with us. We also partner a lot with the residential services. One for promotion, they're like our go-to to get any activities that we're doing out to the students. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, our student union has been a key partner. So when you're planning your activities, do you plan an event or an activity with a particular audience in mind, or do you plan your event and see who shows up?
Well, in regards to Wake Tech, when we work with the communications and marketing team, we really do try to target our students primarily, because those are the individuals that obviously use our library to the full extent possible. We do have people who visit into our brick and mortar. We have 5 libraries, by the way, one at each of our campuses, and we do have visitation online, so we do try to direct some of our marketing materials to those people who are just taking online classes. So, for example, we have coloring sheets that are now up online where the students can actually download, even online students can download, and either color Talon or color some other sheets that we actually just got from the Smithsonian Libraries. So I guess our primary focus in marketing is directly towards the students. We are doing some other marketing targets towards faculty, but right now I really don't want to go into it, but right now we're primarily targeting our students, especially for National Library Week that's coming up. We're making palm cards, which gives our mission statement and key objectives of what the function of the library is.
Did you say palm cards?
Palm, P-A-L-M, and we call them palm cards because they're cards that will fit into the palm of your hand. So instead of one of these brochures or maybe bookmarks, we're going along the lines of palm cards, because actually our marketing department is creating palm cards for virtually every department at Wake Tech. So we all want to have the same sort of marketing tool, but it will disclose what it is. So it could be the Wake Tech Libraries, or it can be Wake Tech Student Services, or it could be Wake Tech Disability Services, financial aid, and the list goes on and on and on.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
We tend to focus on specific student groups, since most of our marketing is aimed towards students anyway. Specific student groups, if only because we found that if we make it more general than that, people kind of like, oh, that's cool, and then they don't show up. Even when we did finals week and we stayed up in 24 hours, there just wasn't a lot of response, because we just kind of try to target everybody with that. So one thing we are really focused on is trying to find a way to communicate on a bigger scale than, say, this student group or this class or this department.
Mm-hmm. Dave or Samantha?
We're so small that when we try to do those targeted outreach programs, they don't get a huge response, just because those programs individually are very little. So we get most of our best response when we do a general target. If it's something really specific, trying to think of an example, and I can't off the top of my head, but if it is something really specific, then we might reach out to a specific department on campus, but everyone's going to see the same marketing anyway. Even if we go to one specific group, people outside that group are going to be seeing it, and we'll probably get some buy-in from other people.
Yeah, we kind of shoot for everybody too, just kind of blast them all and hope for the best. It hasn't worked real well, but until we come up with something better, that's what we do.
For us, it depends on the event and activity, as probably is the case with everything. Most of our programming tends to be focused on undergrads, except for particular events like Open Access Week, which we do in, I think that's in October. It's kind of focused to grad students and faculty. And that's a lot of like we have people come in and faculty will talk about publishing, open access, and that's a big push for our university just because they're interested in making sure that faculty know about open access. So it's one of our parts of our strategic plan. But for the most part, our activities are focused on undergrads. Of course, everything is open to anyone, but so we market that way as well. Using our social media, because that's primarily targeted to undergrads, and then of course outreach through the res halls and things like that. So as you make these events, and do people show up, and how do they respond? So this is kind of like thinking about, how do you measure success for your activities, and what kind of feedback are you pulling from your students? The dreaded assessment question.
Yeah.
Nobody in outreach everybody in outreach wants to know about assessment, but no one wants to say, well, this is what we're doing because we don't know what we're doing. Is that what it is?
Well, one small way we've been trying to do assessment is at the reference desk, and I'm sure this is true for pretty much all libraries, we take note of every question and interaction that we have.
Sure.
Since in the last couple of months, I've been doing a lot of workshops at our Student Success Center, where I actually leave the library, take the library to them, and just talk to them about the library. And what I've been encouraging people to do is take note in their reference notes, whether that person mentions that they're here because of that workshop at the Student Success Center. It hasn't worked terribly well, but I hope that soon it will start working. I guess that's one small way that we've been trying to keep note of what helps.
Mm-hmm.
We have a formal exhibit space in our library, and we just added a gate counter. So that will at least let us know the numbers of people, because right now it's anecdotal by observation. Or if it's participatory, how many items were taken from the exhibit space. For more programming-related events, we are investigating getting a card swiper. So a student will scan their student ID, and then we can get the demographic information and connect that back to the other data that we have on students. So we'll get a better sense of whether the event and the students that we targeted actually match the students who actually came to the event, let alone how that data intersects with our instruction data. Because we have solid data for our instruction, but we're still trying to figure out, sounds like everyone is, of how to do the outreach thing.
Emily, can I ask you, you swipe the cards and you get the demographic data. What do you have to do at your institution to get the actual demographic data? And what kind of demographics do you get?
Just about anything you could ask for. The thing is, we work with our institutional analysis. So they're a bit of the gatekeeper, and they collect all the statistical information on our students, faculty, and staff. So we can collect student-level data with their ID numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take it and connect it back to the other data that they have, and we get the more anonymized data back. So it's no longer student-level and not as sensitive. that makes sense. And that's how we negotiate and we get our data for our instruction too. We collect it at the student level, at the course level, in each section number, and then they're able to connect it back to the GPA, the major, student retention, any of those types of characteristics that we would like to know more about. And to talk actually of our campus, I don't know if anyone else has OrgSync.
We have
Yes.
I don't know.
I guess we're not using it as all the functionality that there is. And we're hoping to, if our Office of Student Life decides to kind of upgrade how they're using it to integrate our outreach information into theirs. So it's all one spot, not only just the events calendar, but we can get student level data from that type of system, as opposed to like all the departments on campus collecting different data sets.
I'm a little jealous of your access to that sort of data.
Yeah, they
In
just,
theory, it will come together. I mean, at least that greater potential, but it took a bit of time in just developing a relationship with our Office of Institutional Analysis with our head of instruction. Highly recommend it.
We tried some of the traditional stuff like head counts for activities, which is Dave, the popcorn maker is probably the smartest purchase you'll ever make.
oh yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, but I'll also tell you, take good care of it because they break down pretty easily.
That's my job. I get to wash it.
We're on our third now.
Oh really?
Yeah. But that's because we use it for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing about popcorn is that smell travels and people follow it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we do that. One thing that we've been doing, we're very big on like quick in the moment surveys. So whether somebody from our team or a student worker will take an iPad in the building and to do quick surveys, and these are like 4-question surveys, and that's a way we follow up after an event. If people like asking them, did you take advantage of this, and did you how did you find out about it, did you enjoy it, was it useful? So that can prove useful, but if you have low attendance turnout, then the answer to that is usually no, no, no. I didn't. Another thing that we do is for certain activities, if there's an activity involved and then we want to register for them for a prize, prizes are huge for activities for us, then we can get a little feedback on the event and then kind of follow up with a what did you learn about the library or something like that. And that gabs all of the people that actually do that particular activity. But assessing outreach is, I think, really, really difficult, especially because a lot of the times it relies on us to remember to ask questions in other moments that are unrelated to it completely. And that's so far removed from the activity itself that it's difficult to assess whether that has an impact on the greater library's involvement in student life. So what about marketing? I mean, we've all talked a lot about social media. I'm assuming that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do you use Instagram for marketing too?
We just started.
We just started like this week.
Same.
Same here this week.
How else are you marketing your activities?
We've been really working with our website, trying to design it to draw the eye to our list of activities.
Okay.
Still something we're working on.
So we do a lot of word of mouth. So if I have an instruction session right before some sort of activity or event is going on, then I usually mention it during my sort of introduction. And then we have a lot of personal relationships with faculty and stuff like that, so we usually will let them know just in an informal way, and they usually pass that on to their students. I'd say word of mouth is probably the biggest way that we really get people. We do flyers and stuff like that, but I'm not sure that those are really that effective.
That was going to be my follow-up question for the group too, is like, who's still using traditional paper flyers?
On occasion.
On occasion.
Sometimes.
Not really. We do use bookmarks, or at least at my campus we use the bookmark simply because at the very beginning it does list all the campus locations, the phone numbers, our website, a QR code, which can be helpful for the students, especially if they're trying to figure out where to go and all that. They've got something in their hand. But that's pretty much it.
Is that for marketing library services, or is that for marketing events and activities?
Marketing library services. But again, I think just at least them knowing that there is a website where they can go, and on our website on the home page is our Twitter feed and our Facebook at the bottom. Unfortunately, real estate is at a premium with web pages, as we all well know. But if you do scroll down, you actually do see the FB and the Twitter side by side on the system. And I think for us, with in terms of exposure to the entire college, whenever we do post something on Twitter or Facebook, our communications marketing department sees it and will either retweet or do whatever they can, and then it actually goes on the Wake Tech homepage, and that's where we get really a lot of exposure.
Yeah, I think that's always key. If you can get the campus social media mouthpiece to push out your stuff, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's how we get our best reach for everything we do.
Right, and it's a formal endorsement of what you're doing. It's a formal endorsement of administration when they see what we're doing on the homepage. Our president sees this, our EVP sees this, and that's not only good publicity to our students to see our services, but it's good PR to our PR to our administration.
We flyer and poster our building for events and activities that are related to the library. We don't put up flyers or posters pretty much anywhere else. We send digital versions of stuff out to the res halls. We send plasma slides to the res halls that they put up in their digital signage. But we also send a digital version or a PDF of the flyer to the hall directors specifically, and they can send that out to their RAs, which can or cannot put them up on the bulletin boards. Although personally, we never get to see if that ever actually happens because we don't get access to the res halls. So I don't know if I could recommend that. It's always, if you've got the time to do all of the things, we would do all of the things, but I feel like in this sort of game, you have to pick and choose where you want to put your efforts. What about email blasts? Do people have access to email lists, or have your libraries built their own that you use to send out stuff?
So we built our own for faculty. And those are pretty extensive. We use MailChimp for it, so we have analytics on everything. For students, we have to go through a different department in order to do anything like that. So we basically craft the email and then we send it to the person who's allowed to send it out. And I don't think anybody ever reads those.
That's one of my concerns too. We have a few. We're in the same boat. We have faculty we can send stuff out to. Students we can't. We can't send anything out to all students or any sort of thing, any sort of list, unless we've crafted it ourselves. So we, at particular events, we ask people when they're registering, are you interested in learning more about library events and activities? Yes or no. We also ask them yes or no if they'd be willing to participate in any sort of focus groups or assessment to help make the library better. And we get a decent response of people that say yes. But again, do they read those? I don't know. But campus partners that also send out regular newsletters, if you have an Office of Off-Campus Life, Anybody?
Mm.
Okay, they're the ones that they have regular emails that they send out or newsletters that they send out to the people that don't live on campus. And so there's a lot of people that are often looking for content for their newsletters, which is an upside, if you can spend the time to find who those people are.
This might be a bit of an odd question, but speaking of, we often advertise other campus partners, their academic and support services. And then we've been having lots of conversations about what information is sent on to the parents. So this might be more relevant for those of you who are involved with first year type of activities. Do you ever advertise events in the library out to the parents?
We we have a welcome patrol the first week when all the freshmen are moving in, where we actually stand outside the door and, talk to people that come in, kind of try to politely hail people, be like, "Oh, come see the library," and then we actually give tours to the parents, with or without their students, just hoping that they'll say, "Oh, I took a tour of the library today while you were over eating pizza somewhere. Definitely go check that out."
Yeah, we do the same. We do a table outside during orientation week, and parents are actually one of our biggest drop-in visitors at the table. Our campus has a department of what's called New Student and Family Programming, and they do monthly newsletters that they send out to parents, and we definitely send that out. Because one of the things that we did a couple years ago was asking students, we did a survey of students of what do you do in these situations. So and the number one answer of if you don't know how to do something, who do you talk to, is parents. So if you can get the parents on board, like, hey, you need to go to this activity at the library, or you need to go talk to your librarian because finals are coming up, that's a double win, because as crazy as it sounds, students listen to their parents.
Yes, they do. Sometimes.
In a while.
I mean, I didn't, but apparently they do now. So what's your most successful event?
Therapy dogs.
We did therapy dogs at one of our campuses, the health science campus. And I think we also got a lot of traction, and this was actually covered in the News and Observer, when we put in a couple of fit desks in our North Campus library, where the president, Dr. Scott, was on one of the fit desks along with one of our basketball players, as well as our Dean of Library Services, Julia Mealish. And that did get a lot of traction, where we actually, our dean stated that she was approached by a few other community colleges about the fit desks and where to get them, how to buy them, how to use them, and what the outcome was after the fit desks were installed in the North Campus library.
Any other grand successes? For us, our biggest success tends to be National Library Week, because we do a lot around it. It's also when we do our annual gaming event in the library, which has pizza. Again, going back to the food, that makes everything better. But it's actually turned into, it took a year or so to take off, but it's been really successful. So we really focus on National Library Week.
Ours, honestly, is Halloween. We have a huge event every Halloween for a haunted library, and that gets a lot of, we have our electrical engineering students build spooky decorations for us, and we hang them up around the library, and people come like all over the place just to see everything. We also have a lot of candy, so that might be part of it.
we actually had one of our most popular events was before the library or before the classes started. So we do lots of theme programming, like Darwin Days is the one that we're currently doing in the library. But at the start of the school year, we did this Letters for Lakers exhibit, where each student, we advertised, come to the library because there's a letter waiting for you. And so we had letters that were written by faculty, staff, students, and alumni, geared towards new students. And then it was timed with all those different tours that come through, scavenger hunts, those types of welcoming and fun events. And Anna, earlier you said sometimes you get pushback against those fun events.
Mm-hmm.
We tied our fun events to the data that we have that we can collect from MapWorks or just retention data. So like social integration and acculturation has been something that's been on the radar on our campus that our students sometimes struggle with.
Oh, interesting.
So we view the fun aspect as, yes, as David said, getting them into the library building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also to have a fun and positive experience where they're just talking with one another is a bonus. So we viewed it from that point, and I think it helps people understand the why a bit more as opposed to it's just fun on the surface level. There's a lot more intentionality behind it.
Yeah, I really like the idea of making the library a place where students can come together, because it does sometimes feel like it is this place you go during finals week, and that's it. So yeah, I really like that idea of tying it to data and social integration.
Yeah, especially because I know during the start of the year the homesickness sets in, so we thought if you could pick up a letter, it just kind of reminds you that you're not alone here.
And how did you get people to write the letters? Did you just like send out a call for?
We did. We had a Google form, and to be honest, if you ever want to explore something like that, contact me because we have lots of ideas of how we could have done a better job. We didn't get much response over email via the form because we actually think it might have been a bit intimidating. But we thought if we collected letters or just short little paragraphs at other campus events where there's faculty and staff and students, we probably would have gotten more letters to add to our exhibit.
Okay. That's a really good idea. I do really like that because we do have a big problem with student retention because we have such a large first-generation student population. Like you say, they talk to their parents. Well, when a problem comes up with their university experience and they talk to their parents, and the parents are like, I have no idea. Why don't you just come home? So, yeah, like having a letter and like making them feel like this can be their home too would be really great.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My computer totally crashed. For a second there, I was like, where did everybody go? Internet. I know we're winding down on the time that we had allotted for the activity. Are there any questions that people wanted to tackle that we didn't actually get to discuss? Or any amazing success stories that you think everyone needs to know about this? Well, all right. I hope everybody got a little something out of today's conversation. We do these, as we said in the beginning, we do these every couple months. I think the upcoming one is in April, and the topic is going to be looking at summer and fall orientation activities. So keep a lookout for that. That'll probably that invite will probably come around late March.
All right.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and I will see you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.